Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, and I've had a few new subscribers, I'm Marilyn, and in my last video I promised that there would be a library book haul, and I have one here, but I'm doing it with a twist. I'm going to shout out some booktubers who've inspired me over the last week to pick up these books. I also have been watching a lot of the best of 2024 and enjoying it very much. My last video, I was sort of complaining that the books that I was reading were not the best. But I'm very hopeful about this book haul that I'm going to find a few 5-star reads. And in fact, I think I found one already that I'm not going to talk about except to tell you the name of it. And people were, all over Booktube, people were telling me, try it. But I was reluctant for many reasons, and the book is Empire of Pain. So I won't talk about that book right now, except to say that I'm mesmerized and thank you everyone who inspired me and encouraged me, I should say, to read that book. Well, I'm going to talk about a booktuber who we don't often have the same kind of reading taste. However, she does talk a lot about movies and TV shows. And her name is Angelia, and her channel, I'm going to have all of the booktuber shout outs down below, but she has inspired me to give a chance to some movies, and I did see a movie that has been one of the first movies that I've seen in a long time, and it's the Bob Dylan movie Destination Unknown. Is that the name of the movie? No, that's the name of the book. The movie is called A Complete Unknown. And I went to see this with my partner. And, everything about it just brought back my childhood when, I say childhood, my preteen age, because Bob Dylan is about 10 years older than me. When I used to go to the Cafe Wa in the Village, which we called it the Village, Greenwich Village. And however, I was not there to see Bob Dylan at his beginnings. However, this man, Robert Shelton, was there in 1961, and he wrote an article. He was a copywriter. He wrote an article about Bob Dylan, and became friends with him. And in 1986, he wrote the definitive unauthorized autobiography, which Bob Dylan gave him a lot of leeway to visit his parents and actually go to Hibbing, Minnesota. Let me just show you the book first. It's called Bob Dylan, No Direction Home, and it is a coffee table book. I had to read it very carefully because of a lot of injuries that I have. So I put it on the table, and I try not to look down too much. But it's a beautiful book, and this was reissued. And the reissue date is 2021. It's a beautiful, beautiful book with beautiful new photographs. And I've started reading it, but like I said, it's not that easy to read. So, like I said, I'll read you a little bit of the back. It said, when the young singer arrived in New York in '61, he became Dylan's friend, champion, and critic. His book, first published in '86, was hailed as the definitive, unauthorized biography of this moody, passionate genius. So he talks about the formative years, which was very interesting to me. I've been reading other books. Of course, I went down a rabbit hole of YouTube videos in general and revisiting Bob Dylan's music, because I wasn't a total 100% fan. maybe I was a little bit too young, and I didn't realize what a genius he was until I really went back and revisited. He wrote that song, he wrote that song. So it was very interesting. And the movie is based on another book that I don't have, but I'm waiting for at the library, called Dylan Goes Electric, written by, and I'll have the author down in the description box. But this one I was able to get out, and it has some beautiful photos of Bob Dylan. And just to show you, it says on after the prelude, the times changed. It says, "Don't raise your voice around here." And what I think that means is that Bob Dylan was raised in the Iron Range in Minnesota. I lived in Minnesota for 5 years when I went back to college when I was 38. And I met some people from the Iron Range, and I had no idea what it was. And it's more of a blue-collar town. And it was very interesting. In fact, I became more interested in Bob Dylan when I lived in Minnesota, because I had a job working as a legal assistant for a prosecutor who became a judge, and I was sort of a intermediary I was a victim advocate. But so I had to talk to him to arrange meetings between victims of crime and the prosecutors who were prosecuting them. And it was very interesting because he had pictures of Bob Dylan all over his office. And when he found out I was from New York originally, he asked me if I had ever seen Bob Dylan in person. And I said no, but I did go to the Cafe Wa, and we became friends. This prosecutor who was totally captivated by Bob Dylan. And I was too shy at the time. Believe it or not, I'm kind of shy sometimes, and I didn't want to tell him my experiences of going to the Village, but I did tell him I was from New York and that I had been around the Village. But yeah, so after that, I sort of became more interested in Bob Dylan, but I didn't realize the genius that he had, and also how he really, the story of Joan Baez, and who was one of my, I loved folk music. I'm rambling right now, but I am so looking forward to reading his book because I really enjoyed the movie. The actor who played him, I think his name is Thomas Chalamet. He has a French name, and I'm sorry if I'm doing this all on the top of my head. I'm sure he's going to win some kind of award, because he really portrayed Dylan in a way that you can believe really happened. And the movie, just to say what the movie is about, it's a time when folk music, they didn't use acoustic guitars, and this is when Dylan goes electric, and he kind of pissed off, excuse my expression, the folk community. And it's a lovely movie. Everybody is smoking like chimneys, especially Bob Dylan. I'll be honest, I'm surprised he's still around, because that was a big part of the movie. How he smoked one cigarette after another. But I really admired how the actor, I hope his name is Thomas Chalamet, really, he sang songs, and he learned the guitar. I know I'm going on and on, but I really love the movie. So thank you, Angelia, for encouraging me to go into different areas where I can pick up different books. And on that same vein, let me put this down. I picked up another book, and this is a little bit different. It's about Bob Dylan. It's called Positively 4th Street by The Lives and Times of Joan Baez, Bob Dylan, Mimi Baez Farina, and Richard Farina. And this is by David Hajdu, Hajdu, Hajdu. Let me just show you. Has a lovely cover. And I think that's I'm not 100% sure if that's supposed to be Bob Dylan and Joan Baez. And there's a back cover. And I'm pretty sure that might be her sister, and who married Farina, who was an author, by the way. So positively 4th Street has to do with the village, I'm pretty sure. And it's a mesmerizing account how 4 young people, Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, Mimi Baez, Farina, and Richard Farina, gave rise to a modern-day bohemia and created the enduring sound and style of the 1960s. And the story of the transformation of folk music from antiquarian pursuit to era-defining art form has never fully been told. And Hajdu, who's the author, biography of Billy Strayhorn, set a new standard for books about popular music, tells it in the story of a colorful foursome who were drawn together in Greenwich Village in the early 60s and inspired a generation to gather around them. So I won't go more into that, but I'm looking forward to reading this. And yes, I'm really going on about Bob Dylan. I listen to YouTube every night and really have become obsessed, to be honest, because it's not only Bob Dylan, but folk music in general. And I'm thinking of Melanie, who was one of my favorites. I'm thinking of Joni Mitchell, Joan Baez. These were my heroes and heroines growing up. And so what can I say? I'm obsessed. So like I said, thank you for Angelia for taking me out of my comfort zone. The next booktuber who inspired me, I was already inspired for this author, is Brian from Bookish. I love Brian. And recently he had on one of his videos a book that I don't have right now, but my library doesn't have it yet. And it is Stanley Tucci's What I Eat in a Day. And he said he liked it better than the first book by Stanley Tucci. But I was able to get the Tucci table at my library. And this is written with his wife, Felicity Blunt. And I don't know, but I love Stanley Tucci, not only as an actor, a writer, but just as a good person. And I heard that the new book, What I Eat in a Day, shows that more. But I love Italian food. What can I say? And this has a lot of beautiful recipes. So here's one. Pasta grains. I live on pasta, so it used to be rice, but I found a brand of pasta, and this is kind of off the topic, that is made in Italy, and it's called bronze dried, where they actually maybe dry it in the sun. I don't really know how they do it, but it just tastes better than the kind of American pasta that we eat. And believe me, I'm not anybody's spokesperson, but the brand that Stanley Tucci uses and I use is called Rumo, R-U-M-O, I think it is. And here is Stanley Tucci flipping some pasta. And believe me, I could use a plate of pasta right now. And whatever anybody says, pasta is not fattening. I read a book a long time ago, and I wish I can find it. I think it's out of print, and it was how to lose weight by eating pasta. And Sophia Loren said, pasta made me what I am. So, pasta is good. And he has ravioli, how to make ravioli. I don't think I'm going to do that because, but I have made baked pasta in the past, and There's beautiful, I don't eat seafood, but if you do, there's a whole, well, here's a baked fish with sliced tomatoes, baked salmon, and I do eat a lot of salmon, especially with some heart issues that I'm going through. I find it, I read that salmon and sardines are very healthy. But this has beautiful pictures, and I guess it's more of, you know, a recipe book, but I remember the first time I ate a Cornish hen, and was very surprised how delicious it was. Oh, I must be hungry. I'm talking about food. But anyway, if you've read any of Stanley Tucci's books, and his first book I forgot to mention was called Taste. And I know it was one of my favorite books of last year or the year before. So I'm looking forward to getting recipes from this book. And I'm also grateful to Brian of Bookish for telling me about the book, What I Eat in a Day, because I had never really heard about that book before. Or maybe I have, but I trust Brian anyway, so. All right, now we're going to another booktuber. My friend Roz from Scalladandling About the Books, I had never heard that expression before, gave me the next two books that I took out of my library. And let me tell you, one of them they had to take out of the old stacks, like ready to throw away. It's called The House in Paris. Not too good a shape, and not only not too good a shape on the outside, but it's not very pleasant to read on the inside either. So I might find another way of reading this book. However, let me tell you what this book is about. So it's sort of maybe a coming of age story, and I'll put this back because you don't want to look at this, right? 11-year-old Henrietta arrives at the Fishers' well-appointed house in Paris. She's prepared to spend her day between trains, looked after by an old friend of her grandmother's. Little does Henrietta know what fascinations the Fisher house itself contains, along with secrets that have the potential to topple a marriage and redeem the life of a peculiar young boy. So if you like coming-of-age stories, I'm not sure this is a coming-of-age story, but it is told in the voice of an 11-year-old, so it could be a coming-of-age story, but it's definitely a child narrator. That might be your style. Sometimes it works for me, like I said, sometimes it doesn't. And I have to admit, I read the first few pages and I wasn't, well, it could be I wasn't tempted because of this book, you know, the way it is. But the next book is in better shape from the library, and it's The Last September. Has a nice cover. And this is also by Elizabeth Bowen. And what did I write down about? So it just says it's a 1920, this is all that I really want to know about it going in. A 1929 novel by an Anglo-Irish writer, Elizabeth Bowen, concerning life in Danielstown, Cork during the Irish War of Independence at a country mansion. So this sounds like it's historical fiction, and I don't really want to know anymore. I trust Roz that she says that this is a good book. So thank you, Roz. The next book is from the author that, well, it's not from a booktuber exactly. It's from another book that mentions this author, and her name is Jean Rhys, and this is the complete novels. And I don't think I can read this in the form that it is because it's just too large. This is a picture of her. I found it very intriguing. And she's known to be, you know, not a very happy author. One novel that I want to read by her, and I've already read and talked about in my last video, Good Morning Midnight, which was very depressing but very well written. So I'm looking forward to read a more popular book, The Wide Sagrasso Sea, that's in here. And if I like that one, and that's a prequel, I talked about it in my last video, it's a prequel to Jane Eyre. So, and it takes place, and I was right, it does take place in Dominica, where, well, I don't know if it takes place in Dominica, but Jean Rhys was born in Dominica, which is an island, a small island in the Caribbean, or Caribbean. So, I kind of like this cover. It just shows the time, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but I remember these kinds of booths even from the 50s and 60s, and I'm assuming that this might be Paris in another one of her books. But yeah, I'm really intrigued by this author. So even though it's not a booktuber recommendation, I know that The Wide Sagrasso Sea, one of my commenters said that they didn't like that book. It might have been because they like Jane Eyre, and it might, I don't know, might give a bad taste in your mouth about Jane Eyre, this book. I'm not sure what it's about. But anyway, that's another book that I took out of the library for this book haul. The next booktuber who gave me suggestions has given me so many suggestions over the 4 years that I've been a creator on BookTube. And this one is Invitation to the Waltz by Rosamond Lehmann. And there's a picture of her. This was written in the 60s, but it takes place in the 20s, or 1920, I think. So it was written, at least it says on my library book, it was written in 67. So what is it about, right? It says that it has a timeless quality to the world that she presents, the author. So it was written, and it says in 1932, which is interesting because here it says 67. So maybe that's when my library got the book. But now it's reissued by Virago as part of a series of women's coming-of-age stories. And in the character of 17-year-old Olivia Curtis, readying herself from her first big dance, Lehmann perfectly captures what it is to be caught between girlhood and womanhood. Now, I wasn't brought up during that time. I was brought up in the 60s, but I remember going to dances and that feeling. And Shawn really praises this book highly. So I'm looking forward to reading this book. I also want to mention some booktubers of books that I don't have at the moment, but I really just want to shout them out. One is Sarah from Hardcover Hearts. Is that her? Because she does a reading that has become a booktube event of 84 Charing Cross Road every New Year's Day. And not only do I love Sarah's channel, who has given me so many wonderful books to read, but I love 84 Charing Cross Road, and I think that the movie is wonderful as well. And so I wanted to also shout her channel out, and also some books of translated fiction, sometimes Japanese or Korean, that Katja from Turning Pages with Katja. I don't have those books right now, but they're waiting for me at the library. So I wanted to give Katja at Turning Pages with Katja a shout out. I also wanted to put a card up here of my new channel that is going to debut next week, hopefully. I've been working on my health a lot and trying to exercise, and I've had some medical issues the end of last year and going into this year, but I'm really working on my health and wanting to start this new channel where I will be talking about aging. The channel will be called While I Age, Choosing to Survive at 75. I'm not 75 yet, though I will be this year. And it's a journey, and there are pros and cons to it. I haven't seen anything on YouTube that really addresses the subject the way I want to address it. So if you're interested, please subscribe to the channel. There's nothing there right now, but you can still subscribe. And I'm hoping next week I will have a video, my first video up. So I would really appreciate that. And I do appreciate you subscribing to this channel as well, because I will continue to talk about books, continue to do library book hauls and other events on Booktube. So until we meet again, hopefully very soon. I think I have some tags that I want to do that I found interesting. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and also share. I was very fortunate to have someone out of the YouTube community share one of my videos, and I really do appreciate that. That was the first time that happened to me. Also got some wonderful positive encouragement, which is also so, I can't tell you how much it makes my day and fills my heart to hear from you. So please comment below, and thank you to everyone who watched up to now. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you soon. So aloha.